Good afternoon. I'd like to call this meeting of the Sutter County Board of Supervisors to order. Procedure for public comment. Members of the public have been allowed to address the board during board consideration of each agenda item. If you wish to speak on any item appearing on the agenda, please fill out a speaker card noting the number of the agenda item about which you wish to speak. Present it to the board clerks. And if you wish to speak about more than one agenda item, please fill out a separate speaker card for each item. If you wish to speak under public comment, please note that on the speaker card. When the matter is announced, please approach the speaker's lectern in the back after being recognized by the chair. Roll call, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Here.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer? Here. Supervisor Baines?
Present.
Supervisor Conant?
Present. Pastor Greg will lead us in the invocation, followed by Tony Yank for the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, shall we pray? Heavenly Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to be together today. Thank you for these supervisors. Bless them, encourage them, watch over them, give them wisdom and discernment in the matters that are before them today. And I pray that you would grant them that wisdom. We recognize that all authority comes from you, and we thank you for their service to our community. Thank you for their families. Thank you for our county staff and all who take part in the operation of our county. Bless them, encourage them, watch over them, we pray. We especially want to lift up our first responders. Thank you for Sheriff Barnes and for his team and for fire, EMT, first responders. Bless them, watch over them, protect them. Lord, thank you so much for the great privilege it is to live in this community, for all the churches, all of the schools, all of the medical professionals. We're just so blessed, and we pray that even in the midst of a contentious election cycle, we would continue to be reminded that we have more in common than apart, and that, Lord, we would consider our neighbors, to love our neighbors as ourselves, as your word instructs us to be. So thank you again for this opportunity. Bless this meeting, we pray. In Jesus' name we ask it. Amen.
Amen.
Through the chair. First, I want to recognize Adventure Church and all the wonderful things they've done in the community. They just had their trunk or treat last week. And another thing that they just started doing is their after-school program, which is absolutely amazing for those of us that have kids and so forth. You know, there's so many things to get into that just don't make sense, and this is one of those things that makes sense. You know, those that aren't playing sports, or, you know, they have a place to go, and it's really neat what you're doing over there. Thank you. Keep it up.
Thank you, Pastor Greg and Tony. We will now have three presentations.
Tony Vang, Program Manager for Public Health, please join the board for a presentation of a proclamation recognizing November 2024 as Lung Cancer Awareness Month.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, this is Lung Cancer Awareness Month. Lung cancer is the second most common cancer, is known as the leading cause of cancer death worldwide. Over 218,500 Americans are affected with lung cancer each year, with 142,000 succumbing to the disease. That's just over 50%. Lung Cancer Awareness Month is observed annually in the month of November to heighten awareness of the disease and bring attention to the need for additional research. Sutter County Board of Supervisors do hereby proclaim November 2024 as Lung Cancer Awareness Month in the County of Sutter, and recognize the need of lung cancer research, and invite all citizens to learn about lung cancer and early detection through lung cancer screening. Tony, did you have some words of wisdom for us?
I did.
don't know if they're words of wisdom, but I want to thank the Board of Supervisors and Chairman Conant on behalf of Sutter County Health and Human Services for recognizing Lung Cancer Awareness Month. So as most of you know, lung cancer awareness, one of the leading causes of that is tobacco, smoke, and vaping. And so in Sutter County, we have 2 programs in public health that address these issues. Our Department of Justice Tobacco Enforcement Grant, and then also our Tobacco Control Program. They work closely with the community and our schools to educate our community and our youth and students about the dangers and health risks of tobacco and vaping. So I want to thank and recognize our staff, our hardworking staff at Public Health here, first and foremost.
Thank you, Tony.
You know, and staff is constantly out there looking for grants. Last year, we were denied a grant by the state on vaping, which was very troublesome. You know, it is a huge issue here all over the place, and they're still trying, and hopefully we're going to get one of those grants that's really going to help out our community and so forth for catching some and then helping out afterwards. But thank you guys for the job you do, and hopefully we'll see these numbers drop.
Anybody else? Carmen? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Thank you, guys. See you, Tony.
Will Johnny Burke with the Sutter Yuba Homeless Consortium please join the board up front for a presentation of a proclamation recognizing November 2024 as National Homeless Awareness Month.
Okay, National Homeless Awareness Month, November 2024. Oh, excuse me. Sorry. Thank you guys for coming up. Sorry, started. Okay. Homelessness is a challenging that exists in Sutter County, across the state, and throughout the nation for many decades. Sutter County partners with numerous public and private agencies to develop solutions to homelessness that address the underlying situation for each individual who finds himself or herself homeless. Since June 2016, Sutter County and its partners have been rapidly improving shelters and housing programs that are designed with the best practices to resolve homelessness. It is important to educate the public about the many reasons people are homeless and to encourage and support homeless assistance services. Sutter County Board of Supervisors hereby join and recognize the National Homeless Awareness Month and encourage all citizens to be aware that many people do not have housing and need support from residents as well as private and public service entities. Okay, Tony. Johnny, sorry. Did you want to say a few words?
I'm just so excited to have members of Sutter County Public Health and Health and Human Services up here in Better Way, because for the consortium, mostly what we do is funding and reporting and collaboration. But these are the folks that are doing it on the ground, client level, and so it's just a wonderful partnership with Sutter County and the Sutter Yuba Homeless Consortium. We're very thankful to be working together to solve homelessness.
Johnny, can you talk about some of the programs that we have started in the last, 7, 8 years?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Better Way is one of the best. It's a fantastic shelter with a coupling with case managers that you see up here to get folks not just in shelter, but moving them into permanent housing to get into the case management that they need. The 2nd Street campsite is a wonderful opportunity for folks that desire to continue to camp or can't get into shelter for some reason to be able to do that. The partnership with Hands of Hope and Coordinated Entry. The Sutter County HSP program has done an amazing job. You know, it was just several years ago that you could still find families and children on the streets, and you really don't see that anymore because Sutter County's done a great job with their HSP, HDAP programs and other programs to be able to get folks that are sheltered, that are in families, especially children, and then move them into housing. So there's a lot, and you really put me on the spot there, but there's just so much there, you know. But
maybe you could talk a little bit about what you actually do there at the Better Way, the
I think Imelda or Cynthia would be best to answer that. So.
Okay.
So at Better Way, participants come in from coordinated entry. They get assigned a caseworker, and that caseworker really works with them one-on-one on their individual goals, either job training or their health, getting them into permanent housing. Every individual that comes in through our shelter has an individual case plan that they work on and hopefully get them into permanent housing from there.
Oh, Mike?
No, I couldn't understand how tough your job is because I know you guys lost a close friend yesterday who was hit by a vehicle. And because they develop relationships with these individuals. They just happen to be homeless. They happen to be down on their luck, and it's not just always substance abuse. It could be losing a job, losing a loved one, and bad things happen no matter what. And they find the good, and they help them out, and they become friends. And like that tragedy that happened yesterday, very sorry for your loss, guys. I saw that. That's tough. But like I said, tough job, and you guys do it great with. Used to have pretty good resources. Seems like those resources get dwindled and dwindled and dwindled, and you keep on doing the same. So great job, great effort, great work.
The individual that Supervisor Ziegemeyer mentioned, unusual story. This gentleman was on the streets for many years. His ID got stolen 8-10 years ago. He was a victim of identity theft. The person who stole his ID then died. And so he was recorded as having died. And so he was eligible for Social Security benefits. And when we went to Social Security, they said, you died a couple years ago. And he's like, no, I'm real right here. And it took about 2 years to be able to prove to Social Security he was indeed alive. And so he couldn't get an ID. He couldn't get Social Security benefits. He was stuck in his situation. And so one of the more unusual cases, but those kind of things happen. And so it's, yeah, like you said, it's not all mental health and substance abuse. Sometimes one really weird situation can really stick somebody for quite some time. So thanks, Mike. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Johnny. Let's get a picture.
Will Tanya Beebe, Community Services Manager, and staff please join the board up front for a presentation of a proclamation recognizing November 2024 as National Family Caregivers and In-Home Care Providers Month.
Big crowd today. National Family Care and Caregivers and In-Home Care Providers Month, November 2024. During the National Family Caregivers Month, we recognize and thank the humble heroes who do so much to keep our families and communities strong. In-home caregivers are vital pillars of our nation's long-term care system, enabling millions of seniors and people with disabilities to continue to live with dignity and self-determination in their own homes. The work of these caregivers requires immense compassion, attentiveness, understanding, and a deep commitment to the well-being of others. California In-Home Support Services, IHSS, program serves over 795,000 citizens, including more than 1,800 here in Sutter County. Sutter County Board of Supervisors do hereby proclaim the month of November 2024 as National Family Caregivers and In-Home Care Support Month for the Sutter County. The Board of Supervisors honors and supports the work of in-home caregivers in our community and encourages all residents in the county of Sutter to pay tribute to them for their exemplary service to our community.
Well, we want to thank the board for the proclamation. We have 4 IHSS providers here today. Some are in our registry, some are caring for their family and friends, and we're thankful that they took some time out today to be here. One of our care providers that we wanted to honor with us today was not able to because she had an appointment with her client, and that's where she's at doing her duty. I don't think people realize what it's like to be a care provider. It's a lot. It's more than just clocking in and clocking out. A lot of times you're getting calls in the middle of the night. You're working holidays, you're working nights, you're coming in, leaving, going back out to that client's home. These individuals, it's the purpose that they get to keep people at home. So the cost of taking somebody into a skilled nursing facility, it averages about anywhere between $10,000 to $12,000 a month. IHSS providers, when keeping somebody in the home, it averages about $5,000 a month. So the cost of keeping somebody in their home is cheaper, and people live longer when they're receiving care in their home. So I just want, and the rest of these folks up here is our public authority staff. They're the ones that make the whole program work. Marcella, Lisa, Shannon, Nikki's new to us, and we're excited to have her. Courtney. So we're really excited to have our PA staff and recognize everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. You know, just the quality of life to keep someone in their home versus skilled nursing facility is just incredible. That's what this is all about. Thank you. Carm? Thank you. Okay. Public comment. Members of the public be allowed to address the board on items of interest to the public that are within the subject matter and jurisdiction of the Board of Supervisors. State law provides that no action or discussion may be taken on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. Speaker cards?
We have 4 speaker cards. The first speaker is Janet Johnson.
Janet Johnson, a Sutter County patriot. Today marks the anniversary of my son, my oldest son, passing home to the Lord, and I give him glory for getting me through each and every day. The United States of America is a constitutional republic, not a democracy. Our own voting to elect our own representatives in the cornerstone of our government, unelected people who seek to control everything are subverting the will of the people. They have turned our voting system into an election industrial complex, and we are fed up, to say the least. Historically, our manual voting system worked for generations. The use of electronic technology has twisted our election system into a tangled web of deception and treasonous behavior that stretches everywhere in our nation. So today we stand in solidarity with the citizens of Georgia to declare that our election system in the state of California is in a state of emergency. Why? There are so many reasons why. Let's talk about the 17 most egregious. Number 17, why are we still using mail-in ballots? We are no longer in their fake COVID emergency. Mail-in ballots are expensive. They have issues with chain of custody and create the opportunity for ballot harvesting and identity theft. Where in the world do the unreturned ballots end up? In my home county, for the March 2024 primary, there were 31,761 unreturned ballots. How is that cost effective? And how is there no chance for anything to go wrong in a situation like that? The Kansas Secretary of State, Scott Schwab, says, do not use USPS to deliver your ballot. Keep your ballot out of the hands of the federal government. He states the Pony Express is more efficient at this point. The Gateway Pundit reported that a recent audit report of the USPS Office of Inspector General has revealed significant procedural failures that could lead to delays or non-counting of mailed ballots. It's election season. Mark it on your calendar. If the electronic voting system is so efficient, why do they need 29 days before and 27 days after to count? If the machines are more effective, shouldn't it take less time to count, not more? Reconnaissance, that's why. They need time to anticipate how the citizens are going to vote so they can run the proper algorithms. Afterwards, they need time to tie up all the loose ends and try to make the paper ballots reconcile with the contrived numbers they declare. Number 15, ballot printing. Ballots are required to be printed on paper that is 4 to 5 times thicker than normal paper and must have an infrared
Let's wrap
fluorescent
it up.
watermark. This effort is to prevent counterfeit ballots.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
The next speaker is Lee Wheeler, AG.
Did you leave this on? The scanner that reads the marks can be disabled from within and then would not detect regular paper or even school notebook paper from a properly printed ballot. Some precincts have the capability to print ballots on site. How could anything go wrong with that? Then there is the issue with ballots not being printed with the proper legal wording that is needed on a ballot, rendering it invalid and uncountable as presented in a Sutter County case brought to the Superior Court by Paul Preston. 14, voter registration and the integrity of voter rolls is a huge issue. David Clement states that voter rolls are inflated and deflated at strategic times, acting like a credit line to candidates. The voter rolls change daily during the early voting period and on election day. Metrics are provided through integrated software and electronic poll books to model the election and know how many votes to inject. Records are being manipulated in real time for the elections. Identity theft is rampant within the system that employs techniques like phantom voters, signature theft, address flipping, incursions, and removals. We need to clean the voter rolls and ensure that they are accurate. Ballot harvesting is how the paper ballots are made audible so that they match the numbers spun by the algorithms. There is no way to track who or how many ballots are dropped off at a polling place or in like last election in Zuckerberg's boxes and chain of custody, it was lost. Evidence of mules sourcing multiple ballots from NGOs who are strategically directed where and when to deliver has been discovered across this nation. Convictions for this type of fraud have been secured in Iowa, Michigan, North Carolina, and in San Joaquin County. When the efforts to match the paper ballots with the numbers spun by the algorithms did not reconcile, the government denied any request for transparency that is required by federal law in the HAVA Act. The Obama administration designated elections part of our critical infrastructure. Hardware components for the election equipment are made in China. The Department of Defense regulations state that components of any voting equipment cannot be manufactured or assembled outside of the U.S.
Thank you.
Tina Hessong.
Thank you. Good afternoon, gentlemen. So the parts can't be manufactured outside of the U.S. or by any country that is considered to be an adversary. There are no election machines on the market that meet those requirements. This should be a matter of national security, and we should not be conducting secure elections on this equipment. John Cohen, former Undersecretary of Intelligence with DHS, said, "You have to assume that data communicated via an IT computer or communications technology made by a Chinese company can be accessed by Chinese intelligence." So much for secure elections. Integrated software purchased from third-party corporate vendors utilize all-inclusive software that can be connected to the internet, and it can modify or change all of the election data. 10x and ElectionWare are the most common. Different names and logos apply, but all share similar capabilities. The machines are connected to the internet. April 11th, 2023 article from the Gateway Pundit describes the use of Albert sensor, and I quote, "Our elections are exposed to internet through the Albert sensors that can give corrupt pockets of our government real-time data about the outcome of our elections and time to react if the data doesn't support the outcomes they desire." FirstNet by AT&T and other telecom giants provide direct connections for the Albert sensors behind county and precinct firewalls. Former Dominion employee Melissa Carone said that she personally witnessed a network connection between the machines and that the tabulating machines are designed with an internal modem and the ability to be networked. Carone has internal documents showing the ability to be networked via USB or Ethernet ports. When the legitimate investigators and auditors uncover disturbing manipulations of our election, the censorship regime quickly attempts to silence, smear, and destroy anyone that tries to reveal the truth. Our numbers team has been able to duplicate Dr. Shiva's algorithms, discovering the true count of the elections that have been subverted. The will of the people on paper ballots are turned into digital images and then fractionate the vote to remove the one-to-one value and weight it to achieve the desired results. In the 2020 election, the Biden vote was weighted at 1.3 and the Trump vote was weighted at 0.7, producing the desired national outcome. Researching other election outcomes, it has been discovered that Gavin Newsom and Kamala Harris have never won a single election.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker.
The last speaker is Tony Farley.
I'm here. Trey Fryer, South City. Here, thank Laura for her service. Thank Johnny, Reserve Officer, for his service. Thank Stephanie and Gina for her service. Thank Mike Ziegler for his service. Sir Huskies. Hey, the Honker versus Sir Huskies. You need the Honkers and Falcons versus Sir Huskies. Okay, Matt Conan, the farmer guy. Carm Baines. Carm Baines, the diversity guy. McKelly, the machine gun guy, Italian machine guns. No. But hey, we want our 50 caliber, get 50 caliber BNG. Thank you, Neil, the Caltrans guy, Neil. Thank you, Professor Steve Smith. Thank you, President Bill, right there. Thank you, Hurrah Marine. Thank you, young deputy, also known as Little Cadet. Because he's like a cadet to me, but he's a deputy. He's a deputy. Thank you, Veronica, the HR chief. Thank you, Mr. Hanson, right there from Babe Health. And thank you, where Sean Pavy's at. We know Sean Pavy here. And thank you, lawyer. Thank you, lawyer. And thank you, Tina, Ty Bart, Kamala Harris, and Gavin Newsom. Really? No, I shook Gavin Newsom's hand. I shook his hand. No, I shook his hand before. I like shaking his hand. His hand's nice. So thank you for your service.
Thanks, Tony. No other speaker? Okay, thank you. Consent calendar. Consent calendar groups together those items are considered non-controversial, or prior policy direction have been given to staff and only require routine action by the board. The chair will be advised the audience that the matter may be taken up by one motion. However, the board may, at its option or upon the request of a member of the public, consider any matter separately. Are there any speaker cards? No. Items 1 through 10, but we are going to pull number 4.
I make a motion to approve items 1 through 10 with pulling number 4.
Second the motion.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, motion passed unanimously. Ken Surratt.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and board members. Ken Surratt, General Services Director. This item is recommending to the board that you approve a temporary construction easement with PG&E and also authorize me to execute the easement and any future amendments or extensions to the easement. The reason why we moved this from consent to appearance is because earlier this morning, PG&E wanted to make 2 changes to the easement. They wanted to start a little earlier, so they wanted to start, or actually they wanted to move the date from November 18th to November 5th, and they also were going to increase the total compensation from $7,000 to $7,500. So that's why I'm here letting you know about that change. So this is for some safety work that PG&E is going to do. Just interesting enough, they're replacing 5,000 feet of steel gas distribution main, and they're replacing it with a plastic distribution main, and they're also replacing 43 gas services. Some of the gas pipes that they're replacing date back to the 1930s, so this is a good project for the community. They're going to ensure reliable gas service and improve the safety for the public. So I didn't have anything else, so if you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Ken. Any questions for Ken?
No, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item number, I think it's 11. Yes.
Presentation on the local homeless action plan.
Testing. All right. Awesome. Thank you, Chairman Conant and Vice Chairman McKelly and Supervisors Baines and Ziegemeyer for the opportunity. I know it says on the agenda presentation, local homeless action plan. I think I reused an email from last year, so I'm not presenting the action plan that we adopted last year, but just wanted to give you some updates and just touch base since I was going to be here for the acceptance of the proclamation recognizing National Homelessness Awareness Month. And really just want to say thank you for the collaboration between Sutter County and the Sutter-Yuba Homeless Consortium. I often get a chance to communicate with other continuums of care across the state. There's 58 counties in California, but there's 44 different continuums of care, and we have a network of emails and communication. And there are very few places that have the type of collaboration that we have between our counties and cities and the continuum of care, and it's very much appreciated, not just on a supervisor level, but all the way through staff, from your CAO, Mr. Smith, Sheriff Barnes, the whole Health and Human Services departments, all the way down through code and behavioral health. It's just incredible. So I just want to say thank you and make sure you knew that. And that's not just, really like trying to give wordplay or make you feel good. It's a reality. We have something very special in our area that we collaborate and work together, and I'm very appreciative of it. I wanted to share with you all about a couple things going on. First one is on Friday, we are having our Summit to End Homelessness. It's going to be happening right here in Sutter County over at Boyd Hall. And I looked at the list today, and we have getting close to 100 people registered, but I just don't see any Sutter County supervisors' names on there. So if any of you are available, Steve Smith, your CAO, will be there, and we do have several representatives from Health and Human Services and Code and Behavioral Health. But if you can make it, I just really encourage you. There's gonna be a free breakfast and free lunch. So hey, if you want to save a couple bucks in this tight inflationary time, it's a good opportunity. But we're gonna just be talking. I'm gonna be sharing some statistics, which I'm gonna share a few in just a moment here. We'll be going to those. We're also going to have some presentations on some different housing things, some development projects. Regional Housing is going to be there to talk about their upcoming projects, as well as Habitat for Humanity. We are going to have an update on Proposition 1 by Sutter Behavioral Health to share with us what's changing in behavioral health and what's going to be available and what's not going to be available. And that's going to be some really big news because they've been spending almost a year trying to figure out what Prop 1 means. And so I know a lot of you are already aware of that, but that'll be there. And then we're going to have a free LEAP training provided by Telecare and Michael Harwell with Telecare. And that is the group that goes out and does a lot of direct client work with some of the most hard to serve populations among homelessness. So really looking forward to that. It's going to be right here. It's just going to be for a few hours. We're going to be here from 9 to 12, and we'll have lunch afterwards, just kind of hanging out time. So I wanted to invite you all to that. Hopefully you can make it. And then I wanted to let you know about something else coming up. In just a few months, we are going to have our biannual or biennial, or however you say, every 2 years, point in time count coming up, our unsheltered one, where we're going to go out and do our best to count every single person's experiencing homelessness in both Sutter and Yuba counties. And so that's going to happen the last week of January, hoping that you all can join us as part of that. So our point in time count, we're mandated to do it by Housing and Urban Development, something we do every 2 years. We go out and try and do a survey and touch base with every single person who's experiencing homelessness in both of our counties. And so what we're going to do is our point in time, that actual snapshot is going to be Sunday night, January 26th. And so we'll begin doing surveys on the 27th in that week. And every survey that we do, we will ask, where did you stay on Sunday, January 26th? And then that's where we get our information from. So on that Monday, we will be here in Yuba City, going out all across the city. We'll also be in Marysville. Tuesday, we'll be in Sutter County outside of Yuba City, and then we'll crisscross back across Yuba City in the afternoon. And Wednesday, we'll be in Yuba County outside of Marysville, and then we'll crisscross outside or inside Marysville later on in that afternoon. And then the last 2 days of the week, we will be actually doing phone surveys. So what we'll do is we have a by name list of active clients that come into coordinated entry right now. And so we'll run that list, which right now is approximately 1,600 folks. And we'll run that list, and we will start to call every single person on that list. And the questions will be simple. First off, it'll be like, hey, how you doing? Is this still this person's phone number? If it's yes, are you still experiencing homelessness? If the answer is yes, then the question is, have you already done a survey this week with someone? And if they say yes, then we're like, okay, we're good to go. Thanks for talking to me. And if the answer is no, then we'll do a survey over the phone. And so this strategy of going out on multiple days, covering folks via phone and crisscrossing in different areas, I think gave us a very strong point in time count in 2023, and we're hoping to mirror that in 2025. But we're looking to get even more volunteers. We had over 100 volunteers last time we did this, and my goal is to have 200. Many hands makes light work. We want to touch base with every single person. It sounds weird, but the higher our count is, the better it is for bringing resources to our area. We don't want to ever have a higher number than what's reality, but we want to try and capture each individual and resident that's experiencing homelessness. And so we're looking for everyone's help. So there will be some trainings coming up. There'll be some information coming out via email. I believe you're all on our email list, but wanted to give you a heads up on that so that you can sign up, come to one of the trainings. You might just come to a training to hear how point in time count is done. If you're not available to go out with us and do surveys, it's sometimes good just to understand how that survey is done and what questions are asked and how that process goes. It's really good for informing decisions. And so I wanted to let you know about that coming up in January, and then wanted to throw a few stats at you to give you some updates on some things that are going on and some numbers. Point in time count is great in that it's a historical count that we've done for many years in our area, and HUD has required it. And we go back, and every 2 years we go out and try and take a snapshot of homelessness in our area. But it really doesn't show the year over year amount of folks that are experiencing homelessness in our area and the folks that are coming into homelessness for the first time. It's just, you're trying to catch everybody on one day, but it doesn't give you the whole picture of the year. And so in the last couple of years, all the information that's gathered in our homeless management information system, what we call HMIS, we upload to the state of California, and they have a program called HDIS. Our job, by the way, is it's like an alphabet soup. It's just like the military. There's all these acronyms everywhere. But HDIS is Homeless Data Integration System. And the state of California uses that to really look at everything we put up in there to determine how many people are coming to homeless for the first time, how long they're remaining homeless. And so they actually analyze a lot of our data that's in our system for us, and they kick it back to us in what we call system performance measures. And so I've got a few of those on there. I thought this was very significant that folks should see. Why we see more homelessness is because, frankly, we have more people who are homeless over the last few years in our area. Now, these numbers are not just Sutter County. I'm sorry that they are Yuba and Sutter County combined. The state does not split them for us. There's not a way in our system. So this isn't just Sutter County. This is our bi-county area. But over the last 3 years, we've seen the total number of homeless residents throughout the calendar year, so that's CY's calendar year, rise from 2,677 in 2021 to 3224 in 2022, and then 3609 last year. And then we'll have this year's numbers at the conclusion of this year and once the state processes our information. So you can see that there's been a rise in overall numbers of folks that were experiencing homelessness. Now, this doesn't mean that folks were homeless all year long, or at any one point we had that many. This is folks who were experiencing homelessness for at least one day. So to give an example, our point in time count in 2023, we counted 963 individuals between the two counties that were homeless on that one day. So you think, oh, we have 1,000 homeless people. Well, not exactly. Over the course of the year, we have over 3,000. And in the last calendar year, we had over 3,600. A good question to ask would be, why is the number going up? And the number is going up because more people are becoming homeless for the first time. And you see the next category down there. In 2021, new to homelessness for the first time was 1,400 people in our bi-county area. Then the next year in 2022 was 1,622. Last year was 1,653. I'm happy that there was only a slight increase from 2022 to 2023. We're not sure what 2024 is going to look like yet until it's done. But this is folks that are becoming homeless for the very first time. None of these folks are back in the system again. These are people that hit our coordinated entry system for the very first time. So that's attributing to almost half of our homelessness. And these aren't folks that are coming from out of the area. Our numbers consistently throughout the year show that over 85% of new to homeless folks are local folks. They're not coming from out of the area. So I think a lot of this can be contributed to economic factors. Affordable housing prices and availability of affordable housing are key on this. But I thought that would be significant for folks to know, because if you're like me and you drive up and down Colusa Highway every day, or maybe you drive through Marysville or up and down Plymouth Street, you probably see some of the same residents that you can recognize over the years. I know that guy. I've seen him. He's been homeless for a while. But truly our overall issue in the area is not just folks that have been homeless for a while, but new people coming in the system all the time. And so the next stat is one that I hope shows a little inkling of hope for our area, is that we track the average length of time that folks are homeless. So in 2021, that number was 96 days. It went up to 111 in 2022, dropped to 106 in 2023. I'm hoping to see that decrease again. What that really shows is that we are addressing the people quicker and getting them from homelessness to housed in a faster fashion. And so that's something we're going to continue to focus on. But with so many folks that are new to homelessness for the first time, it really points to a need for even stronger efforts at prevention, trying to prevent people from becoming homeless for the first time. A lot of times that can be a fiscal thing, where if we can pay someone's back rent through one of the programs that either Salvation Army or Habitat for Humanity, St. Vincent de Paul, Bridges to Housing, a lot of those folks do prevention work. If we can pay some back rents and keep people in housing, we prevent them from becoming homeless and getting into that system. So I thought that would be pretty interesting to throw a bunch of numbers at you. We're going to go into some of these numbers in more detail on Friday, if any of you are interested. I only had a certain amount of time to present, so I just wanted to throw a couple things up that I thought you would all find very interesting. And so with that, if anyone has any questions, I'd love to field any at this time.
Just one quick question, sir.
Yes, sir.
When you do the point in time count, I mean, you just had it up as Sutter and Yuba. Do you guys separate the numbers, I imagine?
So there's no question that HUD requires that asks where people live, but we've added 2 questions to that survey. One of them is, what city did you become homeless in, and what city do you call home? And so when we did that in 2023, we started to get some numbers and actually see where our concentrations of folks that became homeless and where they called home. And obviously in Sutter County, Yuba City was the highest number, and followed by Live Oak. The only challenge with that in 2023 is we only asked that for the head of household. So let's say if my wife and I became homeless tomorrow and I was considered head of household, we asked that person, but not any of the other dependents or anybody else that was in that household. This year, we're going to ask that question to every single person we survey to really get as much of a number as possible. So we should have a better answer to that. But we do know Sutter and Yuba County, I don't have the most recent point in time count, but we do have a split. HUD doesn't ask it, but we're able to determine that. So that is on our most recent PIT report. And that PIT report's on our website, but I can always email it to you if you'd like to see it too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Johnny. You got anything? Nick? Thanks, Johnny. Thanks for the report.
Yeah, appreciate the opportunity to come and present, and thank you all for your collaboration work. I would hang out for the meeting, but I got to go pick up my daughter from cheerleading. So thanks a lot, everybody. Really appreciate it.
No vote on this item. Moving on to number 12, Neil Hay.
Adoption of a resolution authorizing the installation of a stop sign along the southbound lane on Live Oak Boulevard at Eager Road.
Good afternoon, Chair and Supervisors. So in your staff report packet, we've included just a site drawing of the intersection at hand. And as you requested at a previous board meeting, we went and reached out to Caltrans. They provided that they didn't perform a traffic study in their request for a stop sign. They were essentially going along with increased traffic volumes, most likely going northbound and then turning onto Eager Road, is why they felt that, essentially would reduce the county's liability at the intersection, even for the remote and the reduced southbound traffic on Live Oak Boulevard. So with that, we've included the recommendation and the resolution should your board choose to want to install a stop sign. As an alternative, we've also listed that my department could monitor the intersection, and in time in the future, if deemed necessary, my department, myself as a road commissioner, has the authority to place a yield sign at that intersection. So subject to your board's direction, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, thank you, Neil. Yeah, as you know, I mean, we've talked about this before, and obviously I don't think that there's enough traffic to require a stop sign, but if you want to go ahead and monitor it and think that maybe there is more traffic than I'm seeing, then maybe a yield sign is a good compromise there. So just my thoughts, but you want to take some time then and come back with an answer to that, or?
Well, I think for the matter of this before your board, so for example, if you were to deny my recommended action, right, not to approve it and stuff, then we would not proceed with the installation of the stop sign. And then, like I said, kind of my alternative recommendation that my department will just monitor it. We can always come back before your board, at a later time once the changes are actually done. So Caltrans still has the actual work to do to close off the Live Oak Boulevard at Lomo Crossing and to kind of make these improvements. This is a sheet from their construction drawings that they'll be putting out to bid here. So we wanted to share that with you just in advance. But your board's, I guess, direction, you don't have to approve the recommended action, and then the matter will just come back to my department.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'm going to go with Supervisor McKelly's recommendation. It's his district. I mean, he knows the community over there, and like I said, it's not my district, and I mean, I don't really travel that road, I mean, maybe once a year, so I don't really know it very well, and how much traffic is driven through there.
Yeah, I happen to agree that we probably should just follow. I do drive that road a lot, and when they close it off, there won't be any traffic really to justify putting up a stop sign there, in my mind. Because once all the traffic is going there is coming from 99, which is going to be closed off. So
and through the chair, all that you're really going to get is you might get some semi-traffic there, but then that's one more stop they've got to stop and then get rolling again, and then that will back everything up behind it also. So Yeah, I guess I'll make a recommendation not to approve.
To the chair, if I may, Neil, at the time when the north end is closed off, could we put a traffic counter out there and just see, and then we could come back to the board, after, I don't know what the typical sample is, a week or two, or?
Most definitely, yeah. So my department could do that in advance of the improvements and then follow the improvements just to kind of track the changes.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'll second that.
We have a motion to deny the stop sign and make it go back to the board in the future and do a traffic count. Correct? We have a motion and a second? We have a second, right?
Yep.
Mike? Okay.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer? Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. Okay, thank you, Neil. Okay, Veronica Baumgartner, item number 13.
Approval of special overtime provision for law management employees within the Sheriff's Department and adoption of the related resolution.
Good afternoon, Chairman and members of the board. Veronica Baumgartner, HR Director. I am coming before your board today. As you know, the county is currently in active negotiations with the Sutter County Peace Officers Association, which are our sheriff deputies. However, this is separate from that, but I just wanted to give a little insight. Prior to negotiations with that unit, the unrepresented law management staff approached the county. These would be typically our lieutenants and captains. So I want to say there's around, well, it's a little shy right now because we have some people retiring, but it's typically around 7 to 8 individuals, approach the county to discuss the possibility of additional provisions that they would like to see. So they come to our staff and we, get with the sheriff and county administrator's office to hear them out on what kind of, items they're wanting to bring forward. So the county HR, along with the CAO and the sheriff and the sheriff's office, have proposed the following language, which I wasn't going to read, but in general, the language is a way to compensate law management staff for services which are reimbursed to the county through a variety of sources. This would include county and state local emergencies, state and federal grant funds, and agreements to provide supplemental law enforcement services such as the upcoming Sikh Parade would be a good example. So this resolution would ensure Sutter County's claims to the state for staff costs on emergencies are consistent with processes used by surrounding agencies. So again, kind of looking at this potentially as a retention tool as well. Since we're not able to possibly pay as much, we do see surrounding counties often have language like this. An example of this would be, the Hard Rock Casino in Yuba County have similar language. So they kind of similar to how the Sikh Parade reimburses us for services, the Hard Rock Casino does the same for law management over in Yuba County. So a similar provision. This resolution does not change, however, the requirement for the sheriff himself or his designee, typically the undersheriff, to first approve the participation by these individuals. So, people are not self-deploying to these kind of things. It must first be approved by the sheriff or his designee. As far as fiscal impact, these costs should be eligible for full reimbursement, so there should be no long-term impact on the general fund. Of course, as you guys are probably familiar, there are cases when the general fund could be impacted in that fiscal year because departments are not able to absorb some of those costs. They have to absorb the cost in the year and it's reimbursed sometimes a year later, for example, through FEMA funding. So that would be the one caveat to, receiving those, where the general fund would be impacted for a short amount of time. Grants, there's some specific grants and such which would be fully reimbursable where, there may be need oversight from a lieutenant or a captain. And I'm open to any questions you may have.
Any speaker cards on this item? No. Okay. What's the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. C. Smith.
Thank you.
Provide direction to staff on a proposal before the U.S. Board of Geographic Names to change the name of the Sutter Buttes.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. Steve Smith, County Administrator. So this issue with the proposal before the U.S. Board of Geographic Names to change the name of the Sutter Buttes to the Sacred Buttes was brought to our attention in June, I think, or July. We presented on this. Staff presented on it 23rd of July. And during that presentation, we made clear that this isn't something that staff produced or brought forward. There was an individual who I think lives in Nevada City or Nevada County at least that had submitted the proposed name change to the U.S. Board on Geographic Names. We mentioned that individuals can provide feedback, and we had this posted on our website through the U.S. Board on Geographic Names and to the California Advisory Committee on Geographic Names as well. When a name change is proposed for a geographic feature or unincorporated area, these boards don't have the power, by the way, to change the name of an incorporated city or a county, but they do for geographic features such as the Buttes. When those are proposed, the Board on Geographic Names will reach out to all of the tribes, the Native American tribes in the U.S., plus they would like feedback from, local citizens and governments as well. So the state committee, the California Advisory Committee on Geographic Names will be meeting in November. So what staff are looking for is some kind of direction. The board could provide no direction and no comment. The board could ask staff to oppose or support the name change or even to suggest a different name. So there's many options, and then we'd ask that you authorize the board chair to sign if there are comments that you would like staff to prepare based upon comments here today, direction here today, and then we would prepare that letter quickly for the board chair to sign on behalf of the board and get that to the appropriate both U.S. Board on Geographic Names and California Advisory Committee on Geographic Names. So happy to answer any questions or discuss further.
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Sorry, what was the timeline that if we did respond, what was the timeline we had to get that letter back to them?
For the, there's no exact timeline, but the next meeting for the California Advisory Committee on Geographic Names, I believe, is mid-November. So it's coming up pretty quickly. I don't know if they will necessarily recommend a change at that time, but it takes the U.S. Board on Geographic Names to actually change.
But so we would definitely want a response in before that date, though.
Yeah, quickly.
Yes.
And that's why we initially presented in July. The board, I know a lot of you have reached out to constituents, had conversations. There's been some petitions, I believe, that some citizens were getting signed and turned over to various county officials. So happy to discuss any of that and the process moving forward.
Through the chair. So when when we first found out about the what was trying to happen here, we reached out throughout the community and so forth and put posts out there on social media. And it was pretty awesome to see all the businesses and so forth that said, we want, but right here at 3 because I had to stop by the Sutter Cemetery to pick up their petitions. And every business in Sutter had petition papers, and each one of them averaged over 250, 300 signatures. It was pretty impressive. I mean, you know, we have over 1,600 petition signed signatures, and these are people that live here. I did have quite a few, I'm gonna say, I bet you there's probably about maybe 20, 30 petitions in there that are signed from people that live out of the area, that grew up here, that were born and raised here. They reached out and said, hey, we really want to keep the name the same. You know, we were born and raised there, and can you please mail me a petition so I could sign it and send it back? So that was really awesome. You know, we've always said this from day one. We absolutely respect history. You know, when Chuck Smith was with us, Chuck spoke about the museum. And if you go in the museum, the Sutter County Museum, you'll see the full story of John Sutter right there. You can't hide from history. The good, the bad, the ugliness of it. History's history. We learn from history. We've said that numerous times. But for those of us that are born and raised here, that live in this area, you know, the Sutter Buttes are, they're just the Sutter Buttes, you know, the smallest mountain range in the world. That's home to us. And we strong-heartedly believe that we should have some sort of a say in this, because this is where we call home. And we respect what's happened in the past. All right, we're not saying that John Sutter was a good guy or a bad guy. You know, we're gonna respect, you know, everything that's happened and not condone, you know, but we love the name the Sutter Buttes. I mean, the Sutter Huskies, Sutter Junior Huskies. You know, there's three of us up here that grew up out here, went to Sutter High School, that looked at the Sutter Buttes every day of our lives, you know, going to school, elementary school and high school, and the same thing when we drive around. And it's got a meaning, it has a meaning for everyone. And I've reached out to others, you know, and they feel strongly. You know, there's a lot of signatures that weren't signed in there just because they didn't get a chance to sign it, but I think if you ask 100 people, 99 out of 100 are going to say, we'd like to keep the name the same.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody? Carl?
I hope the fact that the three of us were Sutter High School alumni isn't a violation of the Brown Act. That, but I can agree with Supervisor Ziegelmeyer more, that the amount of folks that from the community that have reached out and expressed their concerns, I've only heard, you know, please do what you guys can to write a letter, a recommendation to keep the name the same and to oppose the request that was made from somebody that's not a part of our community. And we've waited this time, you know, to hear other folks come in. I mean, this dais has been open, these chambers have been open for anybody to come and oppose what the request has been. So I stand with Supervisor Ziegelmeyer and all the folks in our community that have asked me to honor, you know, that namesake, and so that I'll be supporting some type of letter of recommendation to be sent forward in opposition of the individual's request.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I'm a Sutter Husky as well, obviously, so you know, I'm opposed to the name change, but and I will vote that way, and I hope that however we craft this letter, it carries some weight. I hope so. But, you know, as we've all been around talking to our constituents, and, you know, you have to recognize that there are so many businesses, hundreds of businesses around here locally that are named Sutter Buttes, this or that, whatever their business may be. And so everybody has a very strong opinion, and for the most part, everybody is opposed to the name change. And so I will be also voting with these gentlemen in opposition to the name change. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Through the chair one more time, I just want to thank the businesses that put the petitions out there on their front counters. That was really awesome of them. I had businesses in Yuba City too reach out and ask, hey, can you bring some petitions here in Yuba City? You know, SOS, I collected the last petitions there yesterday. Center Street Salon off of Plymouth Street. There was some, you know, it's just really awesome for those that reached out, and a couple insurance companies said, hey, we'd like to have some on our counters. And just about anyone that went in there signed it and looked at it. So it was really awesome.
Thank you, Mike. Gina, can you pull up page 210 on the packet? There we go. Yeah, that's good right there. Perfect. If you see the first line, it says proposed name change, Sutter Buttes. And the current official name is Scarred Buttes, or Sacred Buttes. So apparently, Ms. Raines doesn't understand what current versus proposed is. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. I think that it's ironic that that's not even done correctly. Anyway, so, you know, I couldn't agree more with everything that's been said, and I think it's important that we remember history. And, you know, Sutter was not an angel, but he was a pioneer in California. He pioneered most of the agricultural production we know today. He was the first peach grower in commercial peach grower in California. He was a rice grower, a field crop grower, like wheat. He also was a pioneer in the forest industry, and of course, all these things he did on the backs of Native American slaves. And I'm not saying he was an angel, and that's not appropriate, but the point is a lot of people did those kind of things in those days, and it isn't appropriate today, but it is, in history, that's what happened. And because he was a pioneer in the lumber industry, he started a sawmill in Coloma, which led to in the race of the sawmill, they discovered gold, which led to the 1850s gold rush, which led to California becoming a state in the Union. You can't ignore those facts of history and say, well, we just want to change all these names. So I couldn't agree more with everything that's already been said. I just think it's important that people remember history. And I'm not a history revisionist. I'm not a history rewriter. I think that history speaks for itself. And I think it's important that people learn the good, the bad, and the ugly. But to say that throw all out is kind of ridiculous. Anyway, I'll accept a motion at this point.
To the chair.
Yes.
There needs to be an opportunity for public comment.
Oh, yes,
for a final
yes. Is there any speaker cards? I'm sorry.
One email was received in opposition to the name change from Katrina Paterna, and she wrote, "My family has been around since Mary Melissa Reams was the first white child born in Marysville. My family has been born and raised beneath these mountains and have even owned land. I do not support the renaming."
Do we have any speaker cards? No speaker cards. Oh, we got one coming up, I guess.
Through the chair, sorry, before I interrupt, I still have another blank petition form up here if anyone wants to sign it after the meeting. But yeah, so we're still taking petitions.
Okay. We'll start with the speaker cards.
The first speaker is Rusty.
Go ahead.
I just had one question. If they choose to change the name of the Buttes, will the next step be to change the name of the county?
That's a good question. I don't know that.
Through the chair, but you have some clarification on this, right? They can't legally do that, I believe.
Right. They, our understanding from reading through the U.S. Board of Geographic Names and the related laws is that they can't change the names of incorporated cities like Yuba City. They couldn't change, or Live Oak, or the name of the county, but they can do rural communities, and they can do geographic features. I know there's I think there's one going on somewhere in Lake County. There's a,
Kelseyville.
yes.
Yeah, through the chair, sorry to interrupt, but what he's talking about is the community of Sutter. Sutter is not incorporated.
So they could change that.
So what I'm more or less telling the federal government, Sacramento, stay the hell out of our county, all right? Because I'm tired of you coming out and saying that, hey, that statue doesn't belong there, this doesn't belong that. You know, I guarantee you there's going to be a huge come to Jesus meeting. They come in here and say, we're going to change the name of your town. We're not going to stand for it. My community will not stand for that. And they're not going to sit idle by while they try to change the name of the Sutter Butte. So with all due respect, stay out of our community. And you can change the name of your own mountains if you want.
The last speaker is Tony Farley.
Tony?
That means changing the sheriff department, like Sutter County Sheriff Department become whatever county sheriff department. Keep Sutter County Sheriff Department, keep Sutter County Sheriff Department, keep Sutter County Sheriff Department, for Sutter County. Keep town Sutter. No more of this changing names. I'm history by myself. Before FEMA, it was called Silly Fence. World War II Silly Fence, then 1970s FEMA. FEMA was the future Silly Fence program. Now, Chuck Smith is a history guy like me. I miss Chuck Smith. He's a good historian, PIO guy. You also know his Mercy Madison Silly Fence stuff too. Keep Sutter as is. As a former honker, alumni for Houston High School, you'll be the same. Sutter will be the same. Mercy will be the same. Everybody will be the same. No more changing names. I don't agree with this. Don't change the city name. Don't change the county name. Don't even change the sheriff department name. Don't even change his name either. Never ever. I don't agree with this crap. This needs to stop. People from Sacramento should change their birth name, but changing you to Sutter. I've been born raised in this town since 1995. I'm about to turn 30 next March. 30 years old. Been here in town almost 30 years. So I'm a veteran of this community, a veteran of government and community. You know what I'm saying, Steve Smith? Sutter County will be forever. No more name changing. It's not just not transgender name change. This is talk about changing in city government or county government name. No more. No more of this crap. I support Sutter. I support Mike Ziegler and his Sutter. As a honker, I support my Huskies. I support my Falcons. I support my Devils from Lynn High School. Keep you with Sutter the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Any other speaker cards? Okay, thank you. Thank you for the comments. Does the board have any more questions or comments? Nope. Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Second the motion.
So this is to approve a letter of support of keeping the Sutter Buttes the same. Same name. Okay. We have a motion.
Along with sending the petitions that we've gathered over the last couple months, yes.
To the chair, and authorization for the chair to sign the letter in opposition to the name change.
Yes.
Through the chair, are you saying we're going to send the petitions with the letter, correct?
Yes, and
okay.
If county staff can reach out to the city of Live Oak and once again, Yuba County as well, and city of Yuba City.
And Colusa.
And Colusa County, we talked about that.
Yeah, originally when we first brought it up.
Yes, if we could, and we've
I just
all
talked to Steve
spoken
about
with some
that.
of their supervisors and council members as well, but
Yeah.
they can get it on their agenda to have a letter written as well.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Steve, did you have anything else?
I just wanted to mention Election Day is coming up next Tuesday. Our registrar of voters mentioned 20% of the ballots have been received thus far. I also wanted to mention, related to the homelessness discussion today and the resolutions, that Better Way in September just hit 5 years, and staff have done a great job of running that program, that shelter, and that I know neighbors were concerned when it first opened and before we opened it that it would be an impact on the neighborhoods around there, and it has not been. And I commend staff for doing a great job running that. Also, the shelter takes donations throughout the year, but with the upcoming cold weather, they usually ask for or love things like anywhere from just hygiene products like toothpaste and toothbrushes and different things to socks and underwear and different things like that, but even, clothes and other things. So if anyone is interested. So, thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Okay. Now, we have follow-ups or reports and announcements. District reports and consideration of sympathy. Mike, do you want to start off?
Yeah, I'd like to have a plaque made up for Cade Stafford for the first time in 25 years that a Sutter High School FFA student has received a national proficiency winner. So that's pretty awesome. He received that last weekend at the FFA convention, and one for Jack Munger. Wow, Jack walked the stage for the last time as a Sutter FFA member this morning, receiving the American FFA degree, the highest award given to an FFA member. That's pretty incredible to have those type of individuals. It's tough work. And then, I want to get a plaque for a good friend of both of ours, for Jack Scheidel and all his, Jack's not doing so well. He's, over the last year. And, oh gosh, how long has the family been farming in Sutter County? For over 70, 80 years. And I think that's imperative to do something for him.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. So we'd like to get something there for their family. And, that's it for me. Besides, what do we got? Sutter High School playing volleyball tonight in Placer County, and then the girls flag football team first playoff game. This is an inaugural season for women's flag football at Sutter High School, and they play their first playoff game tonight at 7. So I'll be at that game. It's going to be a great night. Remember, in 2 nights we have Halloween, so be safe. Have a great time with your family. Just be careful out there walking. Hopefully we get a break in the rain. It's supposed to rain kind of off and on starting tomorrow into Saturday. And then we have the sick parade on Sunday. So try to stay out of Yuba City. Me personally, I got to go to Marysville twice on Saturday and once on Sunday. So just,
Good luck.
yeah. Good luck. Thank you.
Carm, you want to start off?
Actually, I'd like to have a letter of sympathy and condolences sent out to the family of Elizabeth Mary Gianella. And I guess to echo our CEO Smith is to remind everybody to get out to vote. That's when your voice could be heard. So make sure that you take advantage of that and get out to vote. Going back to this weekend and the 45th annual Sikh Parade. Friday night is the fireworks show. Sunday is the parade. I just like to apologize in advance for the inconvenience it brings to the community when it comes to traffic and road closures. But don't forget to look at the economic impact that it also brings to the community. So again, have a safe Halloween, and God bless you all. Actually, I hope to see you all at the parade.
Nick.
Yeah, thank you. I don't have anything for my district, but yeah, I just will be out there supporting at the parade and at the temple, and it's always a good event. I know it is difficult on the community, but again, there is a great financial benefit also to our area, even though there is some inconvenience. So look forward to that. So anyways, thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, I'd like to close the memory of Robin Ryekska. She's the Public Assistant Specialist Supervisor in Employment and Eligibility. Robin joined Sutter County Health and Human Services in July of 2020 or 2001 as a Public Assistant Specialist. She was part of the direct service team at 190 Garden Highway. Robin's colleagues describe her as a dedicated, knowledgeable, and passionate force who was committed to the public assistance service for all our clients. She was recognized as an expert in employment eligibility services branch, health care programs. Robin was an active participant in many workshops and group committees in the E&E branches as well as the CalSAWS consortium. Robin was an avid rodeo enthusiast who enjoyed participating and volunteering in rodeos throughout the year. Our thoughts and prayers are with her family and friends who she has closely worked in the Employment Eligibility Service branch during her time in Sutter County Health and Human Services. It's a sad loss for her. Veterans Day Parade is on November 11th. On this day, we honor the military veterans and respect and gratitude they richly deserve. We want to thank the veterans in your workplace and support veterans-owned business. Make a donation to volunteer or observe a moment of silence in the honor of all veterans. Let's do that right now. Thank you. Don't forget the Veterans Parade in Marysville on that Monday, November 11th. It's always a good crowd and a lot of participants. Anything else?
To the,
yes,
to the chair. Oops. East Neck High School did go undefeated. I don't know when their first playoff game is. I think it might be next week, but they're 25-0 for volleyball.
Yeah.
Yeah, through the chair. Yeah, we voted on doing plaques for the schools. Like I said, that in their league championships and section championships. So here in the county schools. So hopefully we'll be giving them two, one for the league and one for the section.
So be safe trick or treating and
through the
the
chair.
parade. Yeah, go ahead.
Move to approve the requests that were made.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion is approved unanimously, and we are adjourned. Oh, wait a minute.
Excuse me, Chair, we-
Closed session, I
yes.
forgot, yeah.
Closed session, appointment of public employee, position title assessor, pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B.
Thank you all for coming.